All right, let's dive into a technology that's completely changing the game for how India builds its future. It's called Building Information Modeling, or BIM for short, and trust me, it's turning the super complex world of construction into a smart, data-driven, and way more efficient process. So, to really get what BIM is all about, you've got to understand what it's replacing. For like forever, construction has run on these massive stacks of 2D paper blueprints. And you know what? They're static, they're often disconnected, and they're basically a recipe for mistakes and expensive problems on site. The new way? Well, that's where we get intelligent 3D models that are dynamic, totally integrated, and just packed with useful data. So, here's our game plan for today. We're going to kick things off with the digital revolution in construction. Then we'll break down what BIM really is. We'll see it in action, cover the huge benefits, and then talk about why it's so important for India specifically. And to wrap it all up, we'll look ahead to the future, something called digital twins. Okay, so what is BIM really? A lot of people hear BIM and they just think, oh, it's a fancy 3D picture of a building. But that's not even half the story. We're talking about moving way beyond just a simple 3D model. Here's the key thing to get. BIM isn't just the model itself. It's the entire process of creating that model. It's a data-driven digital version of a building that contains, the geometry, the shapes and sizes, but also all the rich information about the building. We're talking about the exact materials, precise quantities, who the manufacturer is, everything. I love this analogy. It really is the building's digital DNA. Think about it. Every single component, from a steel beam to a light switch, has information attached to it. It creates this incredibly rich, intelligent database that grows and evolves right alongside the project. Okay, so we've got this digital DNA. Now what do we do with it? Let's take a look at how it's actually used in the real world through the core BIM services that bring this whole digital blueprint to life. The whole process follows a really logical workflow. First, you model everything, creating all the detailed parts. Then, you coordinate them, bringing them all together to spot problems. After that, you quantify everything, pulling out the data for costs. And finally, you manage the building, using that same model for its entire life. So step one is building those foundational layers. The architects create their model of the spaces. The structural engineers model all the beams and columns. And then the MEP teams, that's mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, they model every single pipe, duct, and wire. Each one is a super detailed map of a specific system. And this quote just nails the next step, which is maybe the most powerful part of the whole thing: coordination. You take all those separate models and you digitally merge them into one master model. The software then automatically finds clashes, where a pipe is trying to run right through a steel beam. Finding that on a computer screen is a heck of a lot cheaper than finding it on site with a cutting torch. Now, because every little thing in that model is packed with data, you can automatically pull out exact quantities of materials. You need to know how many cubic meters of concrete you need, or how many light fixtures to order. The model just tells you instantly. That means way more accurate cost planning and a whole lot less waste. So after you do all of this, what's the bottom line? What are the real tangible payoffs you get from going through this digital process? Let's talk about the big benefits. If there is just one thing you take away from this, let it be this right here. BIM creates one single source of truth for the entire project team. Architects, engineers, contractors, everybody is looking at and working from the exact same up-to-date model. That level of alignment is an absolute game changer. And when you have that single source of truth, all of these other amazing advantages just naturally follow. You get better coordination and you spot conflicts early, which of course means less rework and fewer delays on site. Your costs are more accurate, it's easier for everyone to visualize the final product, and you can make decisions faster because they're based on real data. It just creates value from day one all the way to managing the building for years to come. Okay, so let's connect all this directly to India. With everything that's happening across the country, why is a technology like BIM so absolutely critical right now? Well, the answer is pretty simple. BIM is the perfect solution for the biggest challenges facing India's construction industry today. The country is urbanizing at a breathtaking pace. The projects are getting bigger and way more complex, and the deadlines are always tight. BIM delivers that smarter planning and super efficient execution that is so desperately needed. And BIM isn't just for skyscrapers. It's being used everywhere, across every single critical sector that's fueling India's growth. We're talking public works like new metro stations and stadiums, massive real estate developments, industrial plants, and vital social infrastructure like new hospitals and airports. It's everywhere. But here's where it gets really exciting. The story doesn't end when the construction crew packs up and leaves. In fact, for the person who owns the building, that's really just the beginning of the journey, and this is where BIM's value extends long into the future. The next stage of this evolution is something called a digital twin. What you do is you take that final, perfect, as-built BIM model, and you connect it to the actual physical building using sensors and live data. You essentially create a living, breathing, dynamic digital replica that mirrors what's happening in the real building, in real time. So what does that actually mean? It means a facility manager can use this digital twin to track every piece of equipment, predict when something needs maintenance before it breaks, and analyze performance data to make the building run smarter and more efficiently. The very same model that helped build it is now helping to run it for decades. So I'm going to leave you with this thought to chew on. With BIM and digital twins, we're stepping into a new era where our buildings and our infrastructure aren't just static concrete and steel anymore. They can actually communicate with us. They can give us the data we need to build and manage truly intelligent, sustainable cities for the future. And that is a very